Hey everybody, Brian and Leslie Fatherees here with the Unbreakable podcast.
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
That's right, Unbreakable.
Are you ready to be unbreakable?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Yes.
This is the last week of August. It's back to school month. Also my birthday month, so it's your last opportunity to send me a gift or cash or something.
He's really harping on the gift here,
You
guys.
can Venmo me if you want to. Get a hold of me. I'll give you the connection. It'd be great. So anyway, socks, money, whatever. We love you. I know you love me.
Yes.
For those of you on the podcast, I'm giving them the puppy dog eyes into the video. Anyway, it's back to school week, and I'm just having some fun. And so we have talked about why we chose homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
We have talked about why you should choose homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
We talked last week about the challenges of homeschooling.
Yep.
So we're going to do a 4-hour episode today on the benefits of homeschooling.
We could do, honey, but we're not going to do a 4-hour.
Oh. So we're going to do 8 30-minute segments on... No. We're going to do one 30-minute, maybe 30 plus.
We're going to hit the highlights.
On benefits of homeschooling. Again, this is not a full and complete list.
No.
And it won't be in full and complete detail.
Mm-mm.
And so if you want to know more, you can still email us, like we told you last week, at fathereefamilyministries@gmail.com with questions or comments.
Yes.
We'll take them. If they're negative, keep them nice.
Yep.
Don't be ugly. But we'll take them. We'll listen. But we will respond, with whatever you say. If they're just inquiries, we'd love to have those inquiries so we can help guide you along the way. So, we feel like there are many, 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 many benefits to homeschooling.
He mentioned one that I forgot. He doesn't know he mentioned it, but he said that's back to school month. But one of the best parts of our schooling was that we never started school till after Labor Day.
Right. That's
we had
right.
all of August off still and didn't start till after Labor Day. So
because
the kids
as
all
homeschoolers, you choose when to start.
That's right.
It's not mandated.
That's right.
In
our state it wasn't mandated.
No.
There may
Some
be
states there might be.
There may be states that mandate it.
But in our state it wasn't mandated. And so we took full benefit of that.
You could set the schedule the way you wanted it, so that's how we did it.
And all the other kids were mad at my children. Why aren't you in school? Because they'd be with us somewhere. Because they're homeschooled and we don't start until September. No. Anyway, I didn't even think about that being a benefit.
Yep,
it
that's
was.
a benefit. He said that, and I just made me remember.
It was.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about all sorts. We got like 1, 2, 3, 4. We got like 5 or 6 things listed on our list. And I'm sure that we can fill out the time with that. I know my wife can.
Yep,
without blinking, because she enjoyed the benefits of homeschooling, even though there were challenges that came along with it. So, benefit number 1 today.
I think the most important one.
Go ahead.
The most important one is that you get to decide what your children learn. In today's world, I think that's enough said. All the crazy things they want to teach children.
Yeah.
All the out there things, I feel they are out there. Because it was our own homeschool, we could choose the things we wanted our children to learn based on, yes, they need academics, but we could also put in our own spiritual belief system into what they learned.
Right.
We also taught them all kinds of things that we're going to kind of talk about later too, but I'm going to throw it in there. Life skills wise, there was learning going on that we felt like they needed to learn.
Yeah.
The things they would need to equip them for their life later on. So we had to decide that. We knew our children, we knew what their bent was, how they kind of went. Like one of our daughters is an author. She didn't even admit it to herself for a long time, but we'd just watch how she behaved, what she did. Like, the girl is an author. She's like, there's no other direction for this child. So she filled her high school years with writing novels. I mean, she took courses online even to add to what we were doing at home. And she wrote novels, all the things. She did all the things that were writing. And we were able to encourage her in that and give her extra and above what she would have gotten normally,
Right.
because we were homeschooling. We got to decide what our children were going to have Bible class every day of their school,
Right.
from the time they were little till the time they graduated. We instilled in them the Bible.
Yeah.
Now each year it might have been a different focus, might have a different way to study the Bible, because we kind of went through several different
Sure.
systems or whatever, but they learned Bible. That was very important to us. We wanted them to know the Lord and know His Word, and because we feel like that's something you need to know as an adult, and you need to know what you're standing on and what you believe in, and so that was important to us. So we got to teach them those
and
things.
another benefit that goes along with that is as they age, they hit like junior high and high school, and they start understanding what they want to be themselves, or have an idea of that. You could specialize
Yes.
your education. For example, none of my kids did this because my kids are not math people. But say you have someone who's big in math or big in science, you can start giving them really almost college level kind of courses in your homeschool to develop them so they're prepared to go do something with that bent. Whether if they want to become a scientist or a botanist or geologist or a mathematician. That was not my children. Not one of them. They joked that after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, math is not done in our house, except by me. But
they needed all their brain power early in the day to do math. We always did math early.
But you get to specialize that. She's talking about our daughter who became an author. We got to specialize that with her. She took creative writing. She took how to break down sentences, how to research names in regions. If you're writing a book about,
she learned all about countries and civilizations and cultures and all that stuff because she wanted it for her writing.
Because she wanted her writing, she's writing about that area, that geographical area, to actually be legit.
Yeah.
So she's not talking about Pierre, who is from Russia.
Right. Yeah.
She's about Pierre, who's from France.
Yes.
So
we
anyway,
also had a son who was thinking that he would want to go into law enforcement.
Yes.
And so for one of his science requirements, we put together and created an entire CSI kind of a class for him, where he learned all about forensics and a lot of different things that had to do with that. But it met one of the science qualifications for his high school.
And
so
he studied fallacies and how to follow somebody without being caught.
Yeah. How to get their fingerprints. All the fun stuff. It was fun, with it too. But it was a lot of learning, things he had to work on, specialties and different things like that. It was fun.
So not only do you get to decide what and how they learn, they get to decide what and how they learn as they age. Younger, you're making all that decision, and as they age and it becomes more appropriate, they get to have more
input.
They get more and more input as they go along into what they want and where they want to go. And we can actually start that younger because we can see the tendencies that they had toward an area far before they saw it. So we started doing that for them and helping them move in that direction. Because
this is something I just thought of too. This is something I just thought of too. But we have one child who is rather physical activity, sporty kind of a person. The others weren't necessarily.
Not at all.
But they were still required to do some sort of fitness for their life. I think a fit person is someone you want to be as an adult too. Right. You need to take care of the temple that God gave you. And so we learned about taking care of our temple. We learned about nutrition, and we learned about exercise, and they each year had to do something for their fitness, but they got the ability and the privilege to choose often what it was they were going to participate in to fulfill that requirement. So if you've got children who aren't really all that sporty and they're not that crazy about doing things, that works. Now, when you have a child who's sporty and you want to make sure they don't miss out on the benefits of teams and playing games, and participating in sports.
There are co-ops and things.
Those sports are great things, but there are co-ops, there are parks and rec teams, there are all kinds of ways you can get your child involved in a sport.
Our oldest son, he did what's called upward basketball and upward soccer, because he was really the one who was bent towards athletics.
But don't stop thinking about homeschool because you think, oh, my kids, I want him to play sports, or I want her to play sports. There's a lot of females who want to play sports too. But there are opportunities outside of a public school system that you can involve them in sports. And so don't negate your thinking about homeschooling just because of that. It's a benefit to be able to specialize them and put them where you want them to be and how you want them to learn.
Yeah. Another benefit is one-on-one teaching.
Yep.
So you get to have special attention with each child.
Tutoring is like one of the most effective ways to teach.
Yeah.
So as a homeschool, you really get the one-on-one time with someone.
You get to tutor and mentor your own child.
Mm-hmm.
And how awesome is that? And how privileged are you when you get to do that? That's a great benefit because you're developing a relationship with them that's going to last a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And so you're developing it young, and you're consistently doing that. And it deepens as the years go by. I just had a long conversation today with my oldest son. We're sitting, finished dinner, and he and I are just sitting around at the table, and everybody else had gone to clean dishes and do what stuff. And he and I are just talking. But I'm like, man, I love the conversation. He goes, no, I like talking with you, Dad. I like having a conversation with you. Like, and here he is at 26 years old saying, I really like to hang out with you. Yeah. I'm going to tell you how many fathers have that privilege. Now in the cultures that we've developed, we've gone anti-parents, anti-father, anti-mother in a lot of educational systems. And here's my 26-year-old like, I like hanging out with you.
Well, lifestyle in and of itself nowadays, in general, in the world, lifestyle is you never see each other because everybody's so busy.
Right.
And there's work to do, and there's all their extra stuff that they do, extracurricular things they do. And there's TVs and video games, everything that takes up time.
Which all our people do all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Those things are okay, but the benefit of homeschooling is that you spend your life together.
Yeah.
I know my children. I know all about them. I know the things they like. I know the things they want to do.
Yeah.
I know the things they're thinking because we spent time together constantly.
Right.
Enjoying one another, building relationship with one another. Right. And that is one of the biggest benefits that we could ever reap.
Yeah, I agree.
Is to be able to know our children and be so close to them. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and to go along with that, they develop relationship as siblings.
Yes.
And there's a camaraderie and a companionship that they develop as brothers and sisters with one another that is untouchable.
Yeah.
Because they're so close. Like I said, I have 5 kids, 5 children. And we have 2 that are in the middle. We call them the Wonder Twins because they share a brain half the time.
They are the twins 3 years apart.
Yeah. But they are very, very close. Even our oldest and our youngest, it took a while because of big age gap, but they've become friends in the last several years. And so you get to see your children actually get along.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't disagree. Doesn't mean they don't, especially as the younger they were, have arguments and some fights, and you have to work through all that stuff. We had one child, I won't pinpoint who it was, say something that they hated one of their siblings. So one of their homeschool assignments was to write an essay on how much they loved them. And again, you get to choose what they learn and how they learn it, and when they learn it. And so that was an assignment, and it changed the direction of what could have been a really bad sibling rivalry into great friendship and love for one another as siblings.
It's true. They get along really well. They stand up for one another. They want the best for each other. They will predict or prophesy into each other. This is good. This is how it's going to work for you. Because they know each other so well. They interact well, and they bounce ideas off one another. They enjoy reminiscing about their childhood, and they're still crazy about VeggieTales and all the things.
Which is hilarious.
From their childhood, but they are very close. They cook together. They eat together.
We have 4 of our children that still live with us, and those 4 cook in the kitchen. Yeah. And it's an absolute riot.
It is. They go to movies together. They hang out together.
Yeah.
Our son takes his sisters on sister dates. Yeah, just because he loves them and he wants to treat them and be nice to them. And they take care of him and do things for him. It's a really fun thing to watch because they really like each other. You're supposed to love your family, but they really like each other.
Yeah. Because
So,
you have to love each other. You do not have to like each other.
right.
And they do both. They do both, and they do both well. All right, moving on to the next one.
Okay,
Life
so
skills. She hinted at earlier,
I did.
but I'm gonna let her just talk about. I think this particular benefit is massive. And before I just let my wife loose on you, because if you're my age or around my age, I just turned 60. If you're around my age, I took home ec courses. I had to take them in high school, so they put us in the. That was a full blown kitchen, and you had to learn to cook. I remember doing chocolate fondue with bread, and I get yelled at by the teacher because I double dipped. You're not supposed to do that because that's uncouth. Don't care, but it was too good. The chocolate fondue was good, and so we did cheese fondue, and we learned how to bake a cake. We learned how to bake a meal. Then they had welding classes, and they had, oh gosh, all sorts of shop classes, and they had
to build boxes.
How to do stuff that mattered. We actually learned how to do a checkbook when I was in school.
Yeah.
They don't teach that anymore. So
they don't teach any of that anymore unless you are very privileged in public to get to that class.
What once was taught, because the educators understood you're going to have these skills to survive in your daily life. Their life skills have gone astray.
Yeah.
But in homeschooling, one of the things you do every single day is teach life skills.
Yep, that's true. It's absolutely true. Our kids were brought up doing chores from when they were little.
Oh, they hated that.
Not always. When they were little, they liked it because
That's
little
true.
kids really love chores.
Yeah,
they love
that's
to
true.
help you. We have a grandbaby who wants to unload the dishwasher, even when it's the dirty stuff in the dishwasher. But but they think it's fun. But they learned how to do things with mom.
Yes.
Mostly during the day. They were home with me during the day, so we learned how to vacuum and dust. And one of my daughters loved dusting. That was her thing. And I think it's because she could make believe she was Cinderella while she was dusting. That's what she did to make it fun.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. And so we did dusting and vacuuming and cleaning, and we did wash the dishes, and we did the laundry. And so starting when they were little, they just had maybe personal chores like brushing your teeth and making your bed and doing all the things that you do, comb your hair, eat your breakfast, all those things. And I'm the queen of chore charts. And so we would have a chart on the wall with their name and each thing they were supposed to do. And they could put a sticker on there, or they could check it off, or whatever they needed to do. But if they would get all of them done, then there was a prize for doing it, at the end of the week. And that kind of a thing encouraged them to do the chores. Not that they were negotiable anyway, but they thought that they were getting somewhere.
We made it fun.
But we made it fun. And they learned to do all of the things that you need to do for your life. And then as they grew, the chores increased. And I would teach them how to do things that they needed to know how to do in a deeper way. Because one day they're going to own a home. And they're going to need to know how to do these things. They're going to have a family. And they're going to need to know how to do those things. Brian, once they got older, Brian could teach them things like how to mow, how to do the things outside with the car that he would do, how to fill it with gas, that's basic. But if you've never done it before, you've got to figure out the newfangled gas pump thing and how to push all the buttons,
how to check the tire pressure.
And how to check the tire pressure
Check
and
the oil
how to do
pressure.
all that kind of stuff. And he's taught our son, a lot more things probably outside, because we have girls who don't care too much about the outside. But they had to learn some things, but they're not crazy about it. But he's taught him how to use the chainsaw and how to make a fire. He loved that one. How to make a fire, how to do just things like that. Now we have homeschool friends who their kids maybe were scouts, and so in the scouts they learned a lot of that stuff. But we didn't ever participate in that necessarily. So Brian has taught Scott the things he needs to know outside. I've taught the girls and Scott and Matthew inside the things they need to know. Matthew even he's overcoming autism, but he also is required to take trash out. We've taught him how to do that. He knows how to pull it out of the trash can. He knows how to tie it up, how to take it to the dumpster, how to come back and refill the bag. He's really good at doing those things. He just needs us to give him some encouragement and to help him out with that. And so we do. Scott knows how to cook like any woman.
He's a really good cook.
His wife's gonna be really happy because he can really cook. He's really good at cooking. He's really good at, he can do laundry. So we've taught them all their chores, all their things that they need to do in life. And then before they could graduate high school, we also went through a class with them on how to keep a checkbook, which is kind of obsolete because you do it all online now.
Right.
But you still got to know what it means online to be able to check what's going on.
We don't want them overdrawn.
Right. Don't want them overdrawn. So we would go through things like checkbooks. We would go through things like how to pay bills. Lots of kids have no idea how you pay bills. And so your children need to know how to do those things. Life skills are everything that you know how to do, how to write your taxes out. How do you do taxes? Each of our kids had to learn how to do their taxes. And
you taught them how to drive a car.
How to drive a car. Yeah. Like, okay, so we didn't have driver's ed because
we're homeschoolers.
Homeschoolers, yeah. And in our family, our choice was to have our children wait till they were 18 to get their driver's license because the regulations just are less at that point. And it made it more fun for them to be able to drive if they could have people in the car with them and all the other things.
Right.
So they waited till they were 18. But our oldest daughter did go to a driving school and did all of that. And then the rest of them, we got the book from the driver's license facility and we studied the rules of the road and we did the driving. And they learned and put the hours in. And we did driving skills with them. And put them in different scenarios, took them to different areas to drive, did it in the evening and in the daytime, and so we did through all that, and they learned how to do that and to be very good at driving. So just all the life skills, there's an opportunity for you to teach anything. And one of the best things about homeschooling was that when our youngest daughter was in high school, she had a family who needed desperately to have someone watch their children during the day. They approached me and said, would it be possible for Abby to be able to watch our kids this one day a week? We need 1 day a week covered. And so we discussed it, Brian and I discussed it, and we decided that would be, since she was doing it for that whole school year, that would count towards her schooling as a child care class. And so I made her
hands-on. Yeah,
it was hands-on. And I had her do reports every week of what she learned, what she found out she didn't know, and what she did about it, how she problem solved to figure that out. If she had any other creative ideas on how she could handle something. So there was 3 little girls, and one of them was very small still. So she was doing very young child skills as well as I would say pre-adolescent, maybe mid elementary school kind of skills. But it was a really great experience for her. It gave her a chance to be on her own and be in charge and to see how that works and how being in charge isn't always the fun thing because you have to make the hard decisions. And,
right.
And so she learned a whole bunch by having that as part of her schooling that year. She learned a lot in that area, and it was a great opportunity for her. Sometimes there are apprenticeship opportunities that are available, and if you can work your school schedule around doing an apprenticeship, that's awesome. That gives some, your children a really, really great opportunity to learn. A lot of homeschoolers will have their high school students take college level classes at the same time, like maybe from your local community college, and you can take those at the same time as doing your high school and get those out of the way. If you have a child who's ready, looking at going to college, that's a great way to get some of those down and under your belt before they ever have to go to college.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a whole lot of opportunities that are available. And maybe you have a gymnast or something in a young child, and that gymnast needs to spend time with practice and doing the things, or a dancer, and they really need a day of doing that, or a long extended afternoon of doing that. Well, because they homeschool, they can get that extra practice time. You can rework all of their studies so that they get the studies in, but they also have time to do the other stuff. It's really flexible. I think that's the benefit, is it's very flexible to homeschool. Our kids always enjoyed that their schooling did not take all day long, or they enjoyed that we took breaks in the middle.
Right.
So we would do morning school, maybe from 8:30, 9 o'clock till 11:30. We would have exercise time from 11:30 to 12, right before they ate lunch. We'd have lunchtime, and then we would have what we called quiet time. Quiet time was a half an hour to 45 minutes where they could do anything they wanted to do quiet. So they could read, they could just lay on their bed, they could write, they could, they could do anything that was relaxing for them. Usually we didn't do video games during that time, but it was just a quiet time to relax. And then we would pick back up again and finish our last thing for the afternoon, and they would get snack time when it was over, which was just, they thought that was great too.
Right.
Snacks, that's awesome. So it was it was how our schedule worked almost all the time. We just worked our school into our day around all the other life things that were happening. Lunch, dinner, we prepared meals, we tried new recipes, we made cookies. Our son also makes really awesome breakfast, so he would make waffles and
Pancakes.
our oldest daughter, she did cakes and cake decorating while she was in high school.
Yeah.
So we weren't without good food, but there were just all the things that happen in life. Our kids were excellent and learned how to do all those things. They have friends who look at them and go, "How do you know how to do that?" Or I don't know what to do, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you do this," and they just whip it out. And they were very on top of it, and it was a benefit not only to us for our family, but it was a benefit to them. And when they went and got jobs, they knew how to take care of things and do things that other people didn't, and it was recognized by their bosses. And they would say, "Okay, you're really good at this, so I'm going to let you I'm going to have you do this." And they were impressed with how the quality and the detail that they took in doing it. It was good. They knew how to do the cleanup stuff. They had hospitality skills. They were able to be polite to the people around them. They had good skills. Good skills.
Yeah. And she used a word in the process of all that we didn't even really talk about, and it's flexibility. Because you are homeschooling, your schedule is flexible.
Yep.
We talked about in last week's podcast how we were in ministry, so sometimes we go to a conference.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we would take the kids with us to the conference.
Yeah.
And we would. They still did homeschool. They did in the hotel room, or we found a classroom, wherever we might be, whatever church or building we're in. So we taught them. So it was still flexible. We're still doing schooling, but we're still at the conference at the same time.
Right.
And
there were other times where we needed the entire week off, off. And so we built that into our school.
Yeah.
That was our spring break, or that was our, we took those days off, and then we built the schoolwork back into the back end of it, or ahead of time. We did it, we did extra ahead of time so that we could have the time off.
Yeah, and like I said, we'd be going somewhere, might stay at a hotel. So in the middle of their schooling, they get to swim in the pool while mom and dad are in a meeting.
Yeah.
All these kinds of things that took place. So it's the flexibility of homeschooling is a huge benefit, because you don't have to do it every same time every day. Now we tried to do that just so there was routine and schedule, because we're routine schedule people. But you don't have to. If you want to homeschool in the middle of the night, you can.
Yep.
If that's when your child works best at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you function better at 3 o'clock in the morning, from 3 to 6, homeschool, and then sleep for the next 4 hours. It's flexible.
As long as you get it done, it's good.
It doesn't matter the time, as long as you get the work done. So you can be task oriented. It's not time oriented; it's task oriented.
Right.
And which is a great life skill when they go to work someplace, because most places are not time oriented. Some are, but most are task oriented.
Yeah.
So you can accomplish what they give you in the time frame they give you to accomplish it, and usually even ahead of time. Yeah. You'll go far. So there's a lot of benefits to homeschooling, and we just have kind of scratched the surface on that today. Anything else you want to add before we close out?
Yeah, I was just thinking, and then it escaped me, so hang on a second. Okay, so You were talking about the flexibility.
We were.
And I was thinking about, how our children always had someone who was not homeschooled asking them, so do you get to do all your schoolwork in your pajamas? And that was like their big question. They always thought that homeschoolers just did all their work in their pajamas. And I would say that maybe a couple times if somebody was a little bit sick or something, they might have done it in their pajamas. But I'm the mom who makes them get up, put all their, get themselves together, get their act together, because in the real world, that's what you have to do. You have to get up and get your act together and go to work, right? And so
until COVID, and then that changed. But
and then that changed. But we were just people who we got up and got ourselves together for the day. We did all the things we were supposed to do, and then we did our schoolwork. And so we laughed at the people who thought that it was just doing your schoolwork in jammies, but there's a little more to it than that.
There is. All right, well, that's it for today. That's the month of August, back to school flexibility. Now, we may do it again in September, because who knows? We'll see. Because we're homeschoolers. We can change our schedule.
We love homeschooling, if you can't tell. We love homeschooling. We love doing it the whole time. There were a lot of times where it was challenging, but we worked it out.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed it. Our children enjoyed it. They loved the time together. We loved the time with them.
Yeah.
It was very, very worth it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. It was just very worth it.
Right. Two final things as we close out today. Number one, this is your last opportunity to email us.
Yes.
At fathereesfamilyministry@gmail.com to tell us what topics you want to hear in September.
Yep.
If you don't email us, we're just going to do it on our own. And so we're looking forward to hearing from you in regards to that. That's number one. September would be our first annual month. We started this podcast a year ago, September. And so we're kind of excited to be still around a year later doing what we do. And then number two, shameless plug, especially for you homeschool moms and Christian moms that are raising young children, and you're like, I need help. What do you do when blah, blah, blah? What do you do at age, We have a book for that. It's called The Family Manual, a practical guide to raising a Christian family. My wife wrote it with that in mind. So it's got every age that you go through. It's got I wouldn't say every, but most scenarios through the time that you raise children, all the way through to when they grow up and have children of their own and become grandparents. There's insights, there's applications, there's thoughts and revelations that will help you through every phase of your life and every phase of their life. So be sure to pick that up. Go to the unbreakablefamily.com and just go to the store and pick up the book. Right now there's that's not right. Just pick up the book. Pick up the book. We also do marriage mentoring and coaching. That has a special going on through the end of September. So if you go in and do the store, and it's highlighted on the front page of the website at theunbreakablefamily.com. If you click on the button that says learn more or something to that effect, and it'll take you in, and you'll use the code 5445, 50 FOR 50 FOR 45, 5445 till the end of September. You can get your mentoring and coaching at half off. Big deal. It's a 12-month program that we help you. I said 12 month, 12-week program. I apologize. 12-week program that you get to have one-on-one time or two-on-two time with us, and we help you first off learn God's original design for marriage, and then we help you find the gifts and callings God has for you as a couple and for your family. So that's something that's really near and dear to our heart, and we're doing a 50% off sale as you enter back into the school year and as you need help. So moms, Christian families, get the book. If you're a married couple, even think about getting married and want to do it together as an engaged couple. Marriage mentoring, marriage coaching, we're glad to help with that. So I'll go to the unbreakablefamily.com and just go through the different pages on there, go in the store and get those things. Do it today.
Can dads read the book?
dads can read the book.
Okay.
You certainly can, and so I think it's really geared more towards the moms, but dads will get
Because
it
I wrote it. Sorry. I'm a
because
mom.
she's a mom, she wrote it. But I think you can, as a dad, get a lot of it. I read the book. I got to see it all before I actually got fully printed. I read it chapter by chapter. So you get to read it, and there's just a lot of really good information in there. So yeah, dads can read the book.
I talk to dads in the book. So.
She does. She says, "Hey, Dad, how you doing? Check this out."
We gotta go.
Okay, we gotta go. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. We're praying for you. Go to theunbreakablefamily.com. Check those things out. Email us about what you'd like to hear us talk about in September at fathereesfamilyministries@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you next week in September.
Yes.
Next week in September. We'll talk to you then. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye
Bye.
for now.